Hi, Democrats. Today is May 4th. May the 4th be with you. And it's time for the Chair's Daily Live. Today will be short. Every day I like to come and I talk to you about bills, elected officials, and elections. But I want to skip and talk about tomorrow about what's going on. So this week is Teacher Appreciation week. So if there's a teacher in your life who meant something to you or to your kids, reach out to them and let them know that you appreciate them. They are like the guardians of our future, right? So this is Teacher Appreciation Week. If you haven't done it yet, you still have a couple more days where you can reach out and say thank you to some teachers. Tomorrow is Murdered and Missing Indigenous People Murdered and Missing Indigenous Peoples National Day of Awareness. And everybody is being asked to wear red. So wear red tomorrow in acknowledgement of that. And thankfully, we live in a state where Ida's law was signed, and there is some good news. I do like to talk to you guys about good news sometimes. So tomorrow's Red Day. And I wanted to start off by talking about those because both of those are things that happen as a result of advocacy, right? Advocacy works. Ida's law, which is the law that creates an office of liaison to coordinate all the different jurisdictions, that was passed as a result of direct, consistent, concerted advocacy efforts. There were a lot of people involved. I don't want to list names because I don't want to skip anybody, but it was strictly based on advocacy. It wasn't just somebody put up a bill and it magically happened. It was somebody put up a bill and was at the Capitol, always following up and advocating. Advocacy does work, which leads me to our bill of the day. This is going to shock you. Hello, Tony. Hi, Amber. Hey, Wayne. Hi, Regina. It's going to shock you, but I'm going to talk about HB 1775 again. You haven't heard about this one, I'm sure, because I only talked about it yesterday and 5 other times in April because I'm annoyed by this bill. We cannot let this bill pass. This is a bill that says you can't teach any gender diversity or racial diversity in schools, and teachers are prohibited. And if it's found out, they lose their teaching certificate and can't be hired. America is the result of a melting pot, right? That's the thing that we say we're proud of, but we only tell the history based on one slant. This isn't anti-white people. That's not my point at all. But you know how they say that there are 3 stories: his story, her story, and the truth? That's the same thing about history. I was taught, in an elementary school, and I'm sure you guys have heard it, that history belongs to the victor. So that's not full history. You have to tell the whole story because the person who won is absolutely going to tell it in a way that slants them, a way that makes them look the best. And sometimes that is the way it works, but you need the whole picture. So when I was in school, I'm getting ready to age myself here, but when I was in school, when they talked about African Americans, and I don't think we were even called African Americans at the time, it was, we were slaves. Rosa Parks sat on a bus. Martin Luther King did some speeches, and everything was gravy. That's not history. I was a full-grown woman over the age of 30 before I ever learned about Native American boarding schools. The race massacre was a paragraph in my Oklahoma history book. It was a profound moment in Oklahoma history. It was a profound moment in American history, and it was a paragraph. We need to tell more full stories so that we have a full story, because it's all about exposure. If I understand your story, I care about you more. I'm going to advocate for your protection and for your rights. And that's why we have to tell the whole story, not because we want to make little kids feel bad about themselves, not because whatever made up reason Representative West talked about, Representative Humphrey talked about. It's really because you have to tell the full story. So HB 1775, we want to know. The governor has And they did all kinds of shenanigans to make sure that this thing gets passed. It is on the governor's desk, and he has to sign it within 5 days of it arriving on his desk. So we're looking at Friday. We need to get as many people calling and saying, don't vote for this, don't sign this bill. So please call the governor. Please call the governor. Be polite. Make sure that they know your name. And I understand that the people answering the phones are not taking names, but make sure that they know your name and to ask the governor not to sign this bill. I'm telling you that this is the only thing that's going to work, because it's, like I said, they pulled all the shenanigans. It's been signed. It's been approved in the House and the Senate. And so now it sits on the governor's desk. We have to make sure that he understands that this bill is detrimental. Oklahoma is already on national news for doing all the ridiculously embarrassing bills that we're putting, running over the protesters and the two-way sanctuary. We're already making national news for stupid bills. Let's stop at this one. Let's not make the news for passing this ridiculous bill. Call the governor, ask him not to sign it. All righty. So the governor is the elected of the day. I don't even want to talk about anything new he's done. You guys know that the state of emergency has been lifted, but I just want us to focus on the governor because we need to call him and ask him not to sign this bill. Can you tell I'm kind of singularly focused? This bill cannot pass. This bill cannot pass. So let's talk about elections. Today is Tuesday, May 4th. In some counties in the state, you will have an election, a vote this coming Tuesday, May 11th on propositions. It's not too late to go out to the website, print it off, do your research, make your notes so that you know how you're going to vote. And then other parts of the state, June 8th, are having propositions as well. Go out to the website, print them off, learn about them, figure out how you're going to vote. We have to show up at the polls informed and ready to vote. And then after that, we have state elections where we decide who is going to be our chair for the 2021-2023 cycle. And then who's going to be our vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. Those elections are on June 12th. So Stonewall Convention, Federation Convention is on May 22nd. That is the federation that supports, fights for, and recruits candidates focusing on LGBTQIA2S+. Their convention is on May 22nd. So there are elections there as well. And the Disability Caucus is on the same day. Lots of stuff going on. Thank you, Regina. Lots of ways to get involved. And now is the time. Now is the time to get involved. We have a year and a half before elections, and that's barely enough. That's correct. That's correct, President Harris-Till. We will also be electing 4 affirmative action seats on June 12th. But there are lots of ways to get involved. We only have a year and a half before the elections on November 2022. Those elections are super important, and we need to get on the ground, get our foundation laid. So thank you for joining me. I will be back tomorrow at 4:15. You guys have a great one.